InRavio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to InRavio.com/join the team. InRavio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson. You're watching the 5off5on Racing Show. Welcome. Hope everybody had a great week. I know I did. Took in some racing this weekend. It's all good. It's going good. Most of the weekly racing series tracks are winding down. I believe NASCAR points officially end September 20th, which was Saturday, unless, of course, they've made special arrangements with the points people, as I call them, down in the headquarters, wherever that might be for the points people. But it's kind of funny how, I was looking at the national points for the NASCAR Wheeling All-American Series, and I'm looking at this, and for those of you who don't know, and here's how that works when they pick a national champion to make it, I guess, equitable for everybody, is they take a racer's best 18 finishes, and that determines, with the points, who has the most points. So they take the best 18. Now, there are some areas where a driver could race all kinds of different racetracks, and there are areas where it's very difficult for a driver to race multiple tracks. But the last published national points, and I don't believe this includes this past Saturday night or this, I guess that would be Saturday night, Anthony Anders is leading in the national points. Anthony races at 4 different racetracks. He has 49 starts this year. So when you look at his best, 18 finishes, the guy has 49 starts at 4 different racetracks. That's a lot. The second place, Lee Pulliam, he has 44 starts. He's 12 points back. He's done it at 5 racetracks. Keith Rocco, 44 starts. He's 25 points. He's only did it at 3 tracks, and that's Waterford, Stafford, and I believe Thompson. And Dylan Baelish has 37 starts at 8 tracks. He's 71 back. And Ryan Preece is rounding out the top 5. He's got 45 starts, and he's 77 points back, and that's at 4 tracks. And again, the way that works is the best 18 finishes. Now, you might wonder, if it's equitable with tracks who start 24 cars, who starts 28, who starts 12. Basically, to get the maximum points awarded when 18 cars start the feature. So if only 14 start, you get less points. And then there were bonus points. I didn't know about this. There were bonus points if a driver starts the feature 10th place or further back. Now, why is that? Well, a lot of racetracks go to this time trial format, And of course, the fastest guy always starts up front. And in my opinion, when you have time trial starts without a redraw, for those who don't know, you'll redraw maybe the top 4, top 6, top 8, whatever. If you start them the way they time trial, you're looking at a parade without music. So some do that. They do the invert. Some do an inverted start, and some do they go back, like I said, 6, 8, or so. So when they say there's bonus points for the driver who starts 10th to back, what that is for the racetracks that's used a handicapping system. Now the handicapping system is different at every racetrack. Some it's money earned, some it's points earned, some it's based on finishes. However you look at it, when you use a handicapping system, the driver who's winning the most races or running up front the most starts further back in the field. And this is to enable those drivers to have a fair shot. So you get bonus points for going back there. And again, the NASCAR Weekly All-American Series points officially stop being calculated on September 20th. Now, I know there's races going on at Stafford Motor Speedway and at Thompson Motorsports Park, both in Connecticut. Stafford being this upcoming weekend, and Thompson in the middle of October. I'm not sure how their point deal works, but I know the Touring Series, their points go up to the last race, so whenever that race might be. So again, when you look at these national points, is there a fair way to do this? I mean, the guy, let's say a guy who races on Long Island, his closest New York track is upstate New York at 6, 8, 10 hours away. For them to count. And for the longest time, for years and years that I remember, Long Island was part of the New England region because it was easier for them to hop on the ferry and go up to Waterford or Stafford or Seekonk or even Thompson and points north. And a lot easier than for them to head up New York State up the thruway. Whereas guys that are upstate, could do their thing. Now, also for those of you who don't know, it's not just when you look at the national points, you could be in a late model. If that's that track's feature division, the feature division at, Peconic Bay Speedway is in upstate New York is late models. That's their feature division. So it's not necessarily tour type modified. So I want to clear that up too, because somebody had said, well, they don't run modifieds there, it shouldn't count. Well, no, but they have a feature division. And, and they go from there. So something I think that it just needs to be tweaked. I think Long Island needs to be put back in the New England region and out of the New York region. It just makes sense to me and makes it a little bit fairer, because now those competitors here on Long Island have a shot at running multiple racetracks. They could run on a Friday night somewhere or a Sunday somewhere up in New England and still get their points. Whereas like you take a Ryan Preece, he's fifth in the nation, but his Long Island points don't count. They count for his national points, let me say, but they don't count for his state points, which is a whole nother debacle, if you ask me. But when you do look at it, I was looking at the state points today for New York, and again, this is something that I totally don't understand. How Tom Rogers Jr. finished second in the points at his local racetrack here on Long Island, and the track champion, Howie Brody. And congratulations to Howie Brody. I believe that's his third championship. Howie Brody is 15th in New York State points, where Tom Rogers is, I believe, 7th. I guess when you take their best 18 finishers, Tom Rogers' best 18 were better than Howie Brody's, but when you add up the total points, Howie had more points. So it's something that needs, in my opinion, needs to be looked at. Because I really do think that it needs to be tweaked. And it needs to be tweaked in a more equitable way. They need to look at the geographical locations of racetracks and say, hey, the guy in Long Island is not making an 8-hour trip to go get, 40 points. The guy in Long Island might take an hour and 15-minute ferry ride to go get 40 points. Just something to think about. And I understand there's the twin races that do that, myracers.com, WJ. I understand that, but didn't they race the same number of races? I don't know. And because when you look at the twin races, because they ran twin 50s at the local track, here on Long Island. They ran twin 50s. Now, technically, it's two 25-lap features. So there's no double points involved. It's two 25-lap features. So I'm not sure how that goes. And yeah, Tommy did win more races, but I know it's just, I don't understand how that worked, where there's such a disparity between Tommy and Howie. And again, I don't want to make this a Long Island thing, but it is what it is, I guess. And anyway, it's all good. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some NASCAR news and some things that I want to share, but I think that you'll be interested to hear when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or the flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice, and we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
InRavio.com wants you. InRavio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to InRavio.com/join the team. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back. I see the chat room became a football chat room briefly, over whether or not the Jets of the National Football League are a New York team. Yeah, they do play their games in New Jersey. And it's kind of confusing, but my expertise, if I have an expertise, is auto racing. But my understanding is the New York Jets, that's their corporate name. It's a long, drawn-out thing. It's like the New York Jets football, NFL thing, all that stuff's all merged into one. And, it's kind of funny, the stuff that the New York, New Jersey thing, the tri-state area, as they call it, and as it's known as sometimes, like the Statue of Liberty, where is it? Is it in New York? Is it in New Jersey? Depends on where you draw the line in the river there. Whether they play in New Jersey, Texas, California, Alaska, Hawaii, to me, the name's the New York Jets. I'll be a Jet fan forever, and I'm proud to say that. I've been a Jet fan my whole life. One Super Bowl, maybe 3 or 4 playoff runs, but I'm still a Jet fan. Yeah, probably registered in Delaware. That's what UVS did. I'm not going to get into that either. But anyway, hey, listen, for those of you who in between watching the Jet game, Dancing with the Stars, ABC TV's reality show, Dancing with the Stars, Michael Waltrip, and I know a lot of people out there aren't Michael Waltrip fans, but Michael Waltrip is a participant on the show, and just made it. I don't know if anybody watches it. You have to, your points, the judges give you points, people call in and vote for you, and based on your scores and the people who vote and call in for you, it's whether or not you move on to the next week. And he barely made it last week. So, and whether or not you're a Michael Waltrip, I would love to see a NASCAR guy, whether it be Michael Waltrip or whomever, move on, because dancing is very athletic, and you have to be in good shape. And I can remember watching this show from time to time, because by the time I got home, sometimes the second half of the show would be on the TV. And I can remember watching it, and in the beginning, and you see some of these dancers, the shape and condition that they're in, and in the beginning, they're not so good. But towards the end, they're pretty good shape. They've lost a lot of weight and a lot of pounds, and I want Michael Waltrip to prove to the people that race car drivers are athletes. If you're into it, put it on. Give Michael Waltrip a vote. Now, I've had breakfast with Michael Waltrip, and I've run into him from time to time, and Michael Waltrip had a little discussion with him in an elevator once in Charlotte, and another time he was busting a move on my date, and him and I had a little chat. But other than, I'm just, what are you going to do? But that's another whole story. That'll show up in one of my books. Believe me when I tell you, it's in one of my rough drafts. But I'm not even going to, it's one I'm working on, A View from Pit Road. And the guy's name is not Michael Waltrip. I think the character that we have do that is never mind, I'm not going to tell you. But anyway, whatever. Yes. Kevin Basic, Long Island E for Speed, is letting us know that the North Lindenhurst Fire Department will have a car show this Saturday at the Babylon Town Hall in Babylon, Long Island, New York. If you're interested, go. It's a pretty nice event. It's pretty good. But anyway, so Michael Waltrip, Dance with the Stars. He'll be on tonight, I believe. What else? The Chase. There we're going with the Chase. Now I'm not a big fan of this Chase thing and whatnot. And as one reporter in Area Auto Racing News put it, it used to be the guy with the most points won the championship. Now they do this thing, and but anyway, as it stands right now, is 9 drivers are on the Chase bubble, headed down to Dover. Of the 16 Chase contenders, only 12 will move on after Dover. Keselowski is locked in, as is Joey Logano, because they have wins. If you have a win, you're automatically advanced in. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jeff Gordon have a solid buffer over the cutoff for the next group, where Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, A.J. Allmendinger, Casey Kane, and Ryan Newman are right now, presently, in the top 12. With a chance not to move on right now, with Denny Hamlin, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, and Eric Almirola. They're going to need to have some good, solid finishes. And hopefully, the guys up in the top 5 do not. And that'll change things altogether. But they're going to eliminate, some guys after Dover, and then you move on, and the 16, and they'll become 12, and so forth and so on. So it's one of those things that I understand why NASCAR did this. I really do. They're trying to create an awareness. They're trying to create some hoopla, because once football starts, NASCAR TV viewership drops. The races are Sunday afternoon, prime time, from 1 to 4, 2 to 5, whatever. And that's football, man. There's people that they have that package. They can watch 8 games at once. They got their laptops going. They're looking at their fantasy. They don't even care if their team wins, as long as their guy does good. So do you think they're putting on a NASCAR event? They're not. They're just not doing it. So NASCAR is trying to create interest here with this chasing, and it keeps getting tweaked every year. And I agree with that. Hey, you can always go back to what you had, but you got to try something different if what you're doing it doesn't work. But I personally, I'd rather have, there's no chase. It's the guy who has the most points at the end wins. And I understand that some guys are running away with it. They're going to run away with it. They're gonna clinch it with 2 races left, 3 races, and then it's like, oh, okay, everybody's running for second. But here's my thing. It's up to NASCAR not to let somebody run away with it. See, and as Mike Helton once told me up in the booth at New Hampshire, all we do here is put on a show, and we have to put on a good show. And it's not a good show when cars are lapping the field. Think about some of the old-time races from the 60s and when it was the Grand National, and how many times did the leader lap the field, literally lap the entire field. You see, all of a sudden, this guy's running away. Richard Petty in the 60s, he had all that corporate money. He had everything that nobody else had. And he was winning races and lapping fields and all of that kind of stuff. And NASCAR finally said, wait, that's not a good show. So they started putting things in place. And by doing that, they tightened it up. And if a guy was running away from it, all of a sudden there's going to be a debris caution. Trust me. Because it's a show. It's got to be a good show. So you got to tighten up the field. There have been times that it's been called a competition caution, to just tighten up the field. The mysterious fluid on the racetrack, debris in turn 3, and and that kind of stuff. It's just something that has to be done. And I don't think the chase was the answer. I think if you put a better product on the TV, people are going to go. And if you put a better product on the racetrack, people are going to buy tickets to sit in the stands. And the stands are empty, and the TV ratings are down. So how do we fix that? You fix that by changing the product. Nobody in today's day and age, today's day and age is a lot different than it was years ago. First of all, you had, at least in New York, you had Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 11, and then you had the 13, which is really like a public access. So you really had 6 channels. Racing wasn't live. So when you sat down to watch a race up until 1979, racing wasn't live. So you only saw the highlights, and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is great. Well, when you're watching a 4-hour race that gets condensed into 90 minutes, it's 90 minutes of highlights. But when you watch now, you sit there in your house, in your den, in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever you watch your races from, the bar, the club, wherever, and it's 4 hours, 4+ hours, and you're just sitting there, while I just do this. Because the camera isn't focusing on the guy you want to watch. The camera's focusing on the leaders and the wrecks. That's what's happening. And, and like Kevin Basic says, Long Island Need for Speed, it was a good show back then. It was a good show. And, the show I'm talking about is Wide World of Sports. It was a little wacky. You're watching a race from wherever, and then they're going to, switch to Acapulco cliff diving for a half hour. And then, back to the race, and, and it's, 70, 80 laps later. But it was a whole different way of watching TV back in the day, watching the sports anyway. But the races on TV today, even now, you see the stuff on the commercials in the little box. Now, the race is still going on while the commercials are going on. Unless you have a 55-inch TV, you can't see that box. You can't see that. But I know they're trying. They're really trying. But I don't know. Something needs to be done to change the format and how it's done today. I believe Ernie Saxon, that was the guy in Area Auto that wrote, it's the guys with the most points should be the champion. And none of this, it's a playoff. You know, if you're going to have a playoff and have regions, the Northeast region, Southeast region, Northwest, Southwest Central, and then you take the top 5 that ran in those regions, and then you have a 10-race chase, so to speak, to get a big champion. But that'll never happen. That'll never happen because there's tracks vying for dates, and there aren't too many dates to be given up, and unless an International Speedway Corp racetrack is willing to lose a date, which I don't think so, as International Speedway Corp and NASCAR is one and the same, albeit not on paper, but it has the same people on the board and the same people running it. It's still NASCAR. It's just a separate entity of NASCAR. And they're not going to give up a date, and they're not going to let their staunchest competitor in the racing business, Bruce Smith, take dates away from them. So what do you do? How do you fix this? Because my feeling is this: if NASCAR all of a sudden started, building racetracks and saying, all right, we're going to give them a date, we're going to take a date away from, let's say Charlotte, and then we're going to take a date away from Bristol, we're going to take a date from the SMI Speedway Motorsports Inc., taking away from them. I could see Bruce Smith starting his own series, and that would be interesting. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying I think that's the right thing to do, but he's a businessman. I could see him doing that if he starts losing dates from his racetrack. And then it's going to be drivers, where do you want to race? And he's going to come up with more money, and it's going to be, and people say, no, we don't race for the money. It's a business. Yes, you do. Okay, it's a business. And that's why this group formed that the Drivers Alliance, and because it's about the money. Trust me. I don't know. Yeah, and like WJ says, it should be the driver with the most points, just like they do at every Saturday night track in the country. It's the guy with the most points is the track champion. It's like I don't understand these racetracks where they run after the NASCAR points end, and then all of a sudden this guy wins the track championship, but he's not the NASCAR champion. And I remember that happening at my local racetrack with Chuck Stoyer and Bill Park, because I'm not even getting into the becauses. But anyway, you have to do those things. You have to, in my opinion, make it so it's the guy with the most points. I don't like watching the little thing with who's in what place and the guy in yellow is in the chase. It's like when you have a combo race. And like the North and the South with the modifieds, the East and the West with the K&N Pro Series. Guy finishes 11th. Oh, he was the winner for the South Division. No, he didn't win. He finished 11th. But that driver will get first place points because it was a combo race. So, I don't know. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about what went on in Kentucky with the Nationwide and what went on in New Hampshire with the New Hampshire weekend. We'll be back.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. InRavio.com wants you. InRavio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to InRavio.com/join the team.
Hey, we're back. Before I forget, the Singapore Grand Prix, which was run in Singapore, was won by Lewis Hamilton of England, with Sebastian Vettel second, Daniel Ricciardo third, Fernando Alonso fourth, and Felipe Massa fifth. So the Singapore Grand Prix. It's funny. I can remember years ago in the 60s and whatnot, the Grand Prix racing was big. It was big. And they were all over the place, and another event or races you only were able to watch on the old ABC's Wild Order Sports. But you didn't have the media stuff and the electronic stuff that we have today. Sometimes these races are run and it didn't even make the news, unless you got one of those racing newspapers or magazines, you didn't even know about it. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. But that, the IRL. What happened to that? The Indy race, it was called the IndyCar, and then there was this divide and conquer thing, which is, I'm afraid, is what might happen in NASCAR. There's going to be a divide and conquer here, and both aspects are going to hurt. When the Indy Racing League and CART was formed, then they kind of went their separate way, and then they both realized years later, this isn't working. We need to get back together. Sometimes it's like that with couples. They got to split because it ain't working. Then they go, oh wait, you know what? We might want to get back together. There's another show on this in review that talks about that kind of stuff. We're here to talk racing. So anyway, I didn't have to use the word. It was a long commercial. We got to pay the bills here. Come on. I command a high salary. But anyway, what else we got going on? Yeah, wow. I knew this was going on, but I didn't know, to what degree. Team Penske has confirmed that it will form a partnership with Dick Johnson Racing to compete in the Australian V8 Supercars Championship beginning in 2015. Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske, as it's going to be called, the DJR Team Penske, will compete with Ford Falcons, with Marcos Ambrose behind the wheel. Ambrose will return to the series where he drew international acclaim to race the iconic number 17 Ford for DJR Team Penske. Ambrose is a two-time V8 Supercar champion after winning back-to-back titles in 03 and 04 before transitioning to NASCAR, where he earned 7 wins and 8 poles while competing in the Sprint Cup, Nationwide, and Camping World Truck Series over the past 9 seasons. Team Penske is excited to partner with Dick Johnson Racing to compete in the V8 Supercar Championship starting next year, says Roger Penske. Marcus Ambrose, a native of Launceston, Tasmania, I didn't know that place really existed, is one of the most successful drivers in the history of the V8 Supercar Championships, winning 28 times in 65 events in a span that encompassed 5 seasons. Richard Petty expressed thanks to Ambrose for his dedication to the team, saying, Marcos will always be a part of our extended racing family. So, and I'll tell you what, and here's what I think that all comes down to. I think that comes down to money. And the guy wants to be home, and they add the two together, money and homesickness, it's a no-brainer. Let's go home. Let's go racing. Let's go racing. The other thing I wanted to touch upon, I'm only going to touch upon this, is the Ontario County Sheriff's Office said last week that it has completed its investigation into the death of Kevin Ward Jr. on August night at Canyonga, New York Motorsports Park. There is word, and I believe it did go, this is going to the grand jury, and the grand jury, or they're hoping, the district attorney's office is hoping to come back with an indictment against Tony Stewart. And I'll tell you what, folks, if that happens, it's going to change racing the way we know it. Because every accident on the racetrack where there's an injury or a fatality, they're going to look to go after somebody. And I'll tell you what, if this incident happened with Goggles Paisano, it would have been washed. It would have been done. All right, it was an unfortunate thing. It was a tragedy, and it was a tragedy. But because a big-name guy was going down to promote a racetrack for people, because his name is Tony Stewart, and he brings a lot of people, puts a lot of fannies in the seats, they're going to make a big deal of this. And I think this is some district attorney in this county up there, in Ontario County, who's trying to make a name for themselves with this, and I think it's wrong. And not that, not that the Ontario County Sheriff's Department cares about what Joe thinks, but I think it's wrong. And, there's been fatalities in racing since cars raced. And it's an unfortunate, it's when we strap into a race car and put the helmet on and flip the switches and put it in gear and go, we all know the dangers involved with auto racing. We shouldn't be complicating those dangers by jumping out of our cars to express our displeasure. I really hope the grand jury comes back and says, no on this one. Although it's been said that grand juries can indict a tomato because it's just easy to say, yeah. And I was on a grand jury. I was on a grand jury for 5 weeks back in 2007. And it's a bunch of people like you and me sitting in a room all day. District attorney comes in, here's my case, here's the witnesses. The defense attorney comes in, here's my case, here's my witnesses. And here we are, a bunch of some educated, some uneducated, some hardworking, working class people, some white collar guys sitting there, and we're going to make a decision based on this, based on the facts that were just presented, and with no knowledge of anything. Nobody comes in and gives us a little refresher course or even a crash course. So I really hope that this grand jury comes back and says, no, let's move on to bigger and better things. You know, yeah, it was a tragic that this individual, Kevin Ward Jr. was killed. He wasn't murdered, he was killed in a tragedy. And let's just leave it at that. All right, New Hampshire. Actually, let's talk about Kentucky. The Nationwide Series was in Kentucky, and their next stop will be Dover. Nationwide Series has 6 races to go, and in Kentucky, Brendan Gaughan was the winner with Brian Scott second, Ty Dillon third from the pole, Chase Elliott was fourth, Reagan Smith fifth. Then he was followed by Cale Conley, Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell eighth, Justin Boston ninth, and Ross Chasen was 10th. The points with 6 events to go look like this. Chase Elliott is atop the leaderboard with Reagan Smith 20 points behind. Ty Dillon is third, 38 points behind. Brian Scott fourth, 55 behind. Elliott Sadler fifth, 61 back. Then we have followed by Trevor Bayne, Chris Buescher, Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Reed, and James Buescher rounding out the top 10. New Hampshire. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour was there, and I did I'll tell you what, there was a wreck there that tore up some race cars, and there was an injury from what I understand. And Timmy Solomino, driving the Wayne Anders car from Long Island, was in that crash, and he was injured, although he was treated and released, and he'll just be very, very sore. Danny Watts, another Long Islander, the guy's on a shoestring budget, borrowing parts and equipment to get to the race. His car was destroyed in this wreck as well. And this Ron Uhas, who's spectacular, pirouette and flip injured him. From what I was told, he punctured his bladder in this event. Now, when I saw some video of this wreck, because it's hard to see anything from pit road, and when these things happen, you're not watching that. You're watching your guy or whatever. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people complain and kick and all that kind of good stuff, and about what NASCAR makes you do, makes you not do, and why you have to do this and why you have to buy that. And I'll tell you what, if this crash would have happened 10 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about being treated or released, or in this case, Ron Uhas being hospitalized. We'd be looking at a funeral home somewhere in a cemetery plot. It was one of the biggest modified wrecks that the Modified Series has seen in quite some time. Tore up a lot of equipment. So, according to myracenews.com, WJ, the race will be televised Saturday at 10 a.m. on Fox Sports 1, where most of the people who would be watching it will be at Stafford Motor Speedway in Stafford Springs, Connecticut for the fall final. Hello, Fox 1, great job. Put it on when people that were there can watch it. Or better yet, maybe do it live, so that other people can watch it. But no, that's just Joe talking, There's no, the oldest series in NASCAR gets no respect, none whatsoever. But anyway, the way it went down for NASCAR Wheel and Modified race, it was Woody Pitkat was the winner, followed by Todd Zegedy, Doug Colby, Ted Christopher was fourth, Roman Pennick fifth, Patrick Emily sixth, Donnie Lee is seventh. Donnie, with the help of a rain out on Long Island, the string is intact for consecutive starts by the Bob Garbarino Mystic Missile Racing Team. Bobby Santos was eighth, Tommy Barrett Jr. ninth, and Mike Stefanik rounded out the top 10. Ryan Newman, who got the pole, was out on lap 97 with mechanical issues claiming steering. So that's where that looks. The points, the way to look, with the Bonson York having his issues there. Doug Colby is still atop the points, but a little bit of a cushion now, 24 points over Justin Bonsignor with 2 events left. Ted Christopher is third, 34 back. Bobby Santos is fourth, 39 back. And you got Ronnie Silk in fifth, 46 back. Ryan Priest, 55 back and sixth. Woody Pitkat, seventh, 67 back. Timmy Salamino, eighth, 80 points back. Eric Goodale, ninth, 81 back. And Matt Hirschman rounding out the top 10. He is 98 back. This Rookie of the Year, the way that's going with 2 races left, is Timmy Salamino has a 16-point lead in those rookie points. The rookie points work different than the regular points. I believe it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The highest finishing rookie gets 10 points, followed by the second place rookie gets 9, and so on. So it's not the total points. Anyway, I just got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We'll be back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
InRavio.com wants you. InRavio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to InRavio.com/join the team.
Hey, we're back. Hey, before I forget, we have a ton of tickets to give away, concert tickets. Go to InRavio.com, go to the contest tab, and go for it, man. I love when people from my show, viewers of my show, get these tickets. I love it. So go on, get them, and let us know that you won and you enjoyed the show, even if you didn't enjoy the show. But how could you not enjoy a free show? Come on. Anyway, New Hampshire. Trucks, Camping World Truck Series. Cole Custer won from the pole, followed by Darrell Wallace Jr., Matt Crafton in third, Johnny Sauter was fourth, John Hunter Nemechek fifth. Carmen Davis sixth, Eric Jones seventh, Tyler Reddick eighth, Joey Colton ninth, and Ryan Blaney rounding out the top 10. What do we got here? Cup was at New Hampshire. I actually watched that race. I don't usually watch races from as much of the beginning to the end as I can. So I was flipping back and forth to watch Derek Jeter. I had the opportunity to go to the Yankee game and see it live a couple of weeks ago. I had a great time. But that's a whole nother story. Derek Jeter, the guy's a true champion. True champion. I wish there was somebody in racing that we could look up to that even comes close to Derek Jeter. But anyway, Joey Logano was the winner in the Cup Series at New Hampshire, followed by Kyle Larson second. Kevin Harvick was third. Jimmy McMurray fourth. Jimmy Johnson was fifth. Eric Almirola did himself a good job, helped his efforts, finishing sixth after a disappointing finish last week. Brad Keselowski was seventh from the pole. Kyle Busch eighth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. ninth. And Brian Vickers rounding out the top 10. The way the chase points look right now is Keselowski, Logano, Harvick, Johnson, Kyle Busch fifth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. sixth. Jeff Gordon, Kenseth, Edwards, Allmendinger rounding out the top 10 with Casey Kane 11th. Ryan Newman 12th, Denny Hamlin 13th, followed by Biffle, Kurt Busch, and Eric Almirola. But it is close, as I spoke about that earlier. It is very close. Anyway, kind of got a lot out of order. I didn't get to do the Joe rant because, I had a lot to talk about, and I didn't want to run out of time. But again, I was at a racetrack this past weekend, and I'm not going to say which one because it really doesn't matter. It happens at many of the weekly racetracks. And I know I talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it again. And I know there are people that watch and listen to my show, and they can't wait to go run back and tell people, did you hear what Joe said? Joe said this. Well, if you want to go back with anything, and I know the season's over at most of the weekly tracks, go back and say this. I think it's pretty disgusting, and I'm going to call it disgusting. When I walk into a racetrack, and I'm just a regular guy now at a racetrack. I go to a weekly racetrack, I'm just Joe who's there as a fan, watching the races, looking at cars, talking to drivers. When I see officials at racetracks, they're officials at that racetrack in their civilian clothes, which doesn't matter whether they have the uniform or not, on in the civilian clothes, hanging out with race teams prior to the event. It doesn't look good. And in my opinion is this, if once you go through the pit gate, and as an official, the uniform should be on. Your NASCAR shirt, your NASCAR pants, you should have the right shoes. The shirt needs to be buttoned, not hanging out, not with that the buttons open and the sleeves rolled up and you have Goggles Paisano racing team on it. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Umpires aren't in baseball hanging out in the dugout or in a bullpen as they're practicing on. They're not getting fuel for their race cars that they will help. They're not going in the tire compound getting tires. No, the umpires are in the umpire room getting ready for the event. Just as the officials who work a racetrack should do the same thing. The same thing. All right? The other thing as officials and what they need to keep in mind, not take them out, but keep in mind is this. Officials shouldn't be part of the outcome of any finish. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'm going to go with consistency. Now, I was an official for 18 years, partly at a weekly track, partly on a touring series. And I've worked Sprint Cup, Nationwide, Campbell World Truck, K&N. I've worked in Canada and Mexico. I've worked all over North America as an official. Seen a lot of things in my day. And I'm not going to say I was the best official out there, because by far I was not. By far I was not. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I didn't, break people's chops. As a former competitor, as a car owner, I treated race teams the way I wanted to be treated, and that was with dignity and respect. And, they have something that's wrong with their car. Hey, look, guys, if it wasn't a safety issue or a big competitive issue, make this disappear by next time. But anyway, again, I wasn't one of the best, but I wasn't the worst either. But what I was consistent. Whether you were the points leader or the guy who shows up once a month, I treated you the same. Whether you were the guy who was winning races or the guy who was losing races, you got the same breaks on and off the racetrack. Consistency. And as one competitor said to me years ago, he goes, I didn't always agree with what decisions you made or calls you made, but you were consistent. The calls you made against, cars such and such, you made the same calls against cars such and such. But I saw something this weekend that just burned me. And I'm going to tell you what happened. Again, without specifics. One division is lined up to go racing. The car starting in 5th or 3rd in this one division. The cars they're on the racetrack. They're ready to do whatever, ready to do their lap and go get a green flag. That car decides something's not right. They drive off the racetrack, go into the pit area, and now we're waiting for them. All right, it happens. Maybe, I don't know, something happened. something broke, something was not right, radio wasn't working, whatever it may have been. Guy's going to come out, he's going to go to the tail end just because he wanted to pass. That car did not go to the tail end. That car went right back to his spot, ultimately wins the feature event. All right. I'm not the official no more. Not even mitigating circumstances. So then what happens is this. Later on tonight, another division where there was a tight points battle. They're doing their hot laps or whatever, they're going around. And all of a sudden, there was a problem with a transponder. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know if it wasn't on. I don't know if it wasn't transmit. Whatever the case is, that car didn't even leave the racetrack, goes up to the ramp, find out what's going on. But apparently because somebody touched his car, he now had to start last. Where's the consistency there? Where is the consistency? There is none. There is none. It's like, and I said to somebody early in the season, and they said, you know what, so-and-so, it looks like they're going to win the championship. They have everything in place. I said, no, they're not. This guy's going to win the championship. The points were still early. You know why? Because it's the game that's played at a lot of the weekly racing series racetracks. And that's what's killing racing in this. NASCAR is not killing racing at the short tracks. NASCAR is not emptying the seats because they run some of their events on Saturdays. The local officials are ruining racing, whether it be here on Long Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Oregon. That's what's happening. And I'll tell you, for me as a fan, I'm having a problem with it. Also, I want to wish Dennis Freeze, owner and proprietor of Oval Speed Unlimited, supplying parts to racers on Long Island and New Jersey, raced in the modified feature here on Long Island this past weekend and had a heart attack. He was, after the race, transported to the local hospital where they moved him to Stony Brook University Medical Center, where they put in a stent in, got him going. He was in the coronary care unit at Stony Brook. He was released today. He's not out of the woods yet. There's more still to go on with him. So here from all of us at 5off5on and in radio.com, a get well wish to Dennis Freeze. Here's a guy, if it weren't for him, a lot of drivers would not be racing with him, helping him out in parts and loans and everything. So, our prayers go out to Dennis. Anyway, we're going to wrap up. The modifieds will be at the Stafford Motor Speedway this weekend, and the Cup will be at Dover. And I hope everybody has a good trip. But if you're going to Dover, please be careful. Please be safe. Wherever you may be going, be careful. Be safe. Tell somebody you love them. God bless you all, and thanks for sharing in the show tonight. And get well to Dennis Freeze. We love you, man. Have a good one.
In review.